Do you think I'd actually let you on the air to talk about stuff like that?
Was I on the air?
No, of course not.
Thank you, Brad. Here I think I'm being, forward thinking and picking up the ball, and absolutely not.
So you're saying I dropped the ball? Is that what you're saying?
Well, there was a lot of dead air.
What? Dead air?
And that's usually from me.
Well, that's still we're still in recovery mode from yesterday. You and Joe Biden, we have to watch things.
Yes, I know. Thank you for bringing that up.
You and Joe Biden. By the way, if you know what we're talking about, he was someplace up in Michigan yesterday, and I don't know where I have to look at where he was. They say he was with an auto worker, but the guys were all wearing hard hats, and I don't know. Do auto workers, do they wear hard hats now? Like on the assembly line out in Wentzville, do they wear hard hats?
I bet they do. Okay. I don't know that for a fact, but it makes sense.
Anyway, Joe Biden had a confrontation where, like up close and personal. Like they were like within like a couple feet of each other, which is illegal now because of the coronavirus. But anyway, they had a confrontation, and the guy said something to Joe Biden about, you're going to take my guns, and Joe Biden said he was full of poo-poo. Right? But he didn't use the word poo-poo. He used the S word. And then the guy said something back to Biden, and Biden said that he was full of bull poo-poo or something like that. And I'm going like, whoa.
He didn't call him a lying dog-faced pony soldier?
Hold on a minute. You love that, don't you? Why?
I do. It's the cutest thing ever.
Here, hold on. I can't get the computer. Hold on. Don't just go. I have to flip a screen.
Okay, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm right here, Brad. You're so funny.
There he goes. Okay, here, let me do it one more time.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Okay, now, I don't quite get, how do you, when you're out there like trying to get people to vote for you, why do you insult them? I don't understand that. That would be like us saying, hey, we want listeners to this radio station, but you know what? If you live anywhere in the St. Louis area, we don't want you because you're scum. Because people live in the St. Louis area are scum. And people go like, no, hold on a minute. No, they want us to listen to their local radio station, but they're calling me scum? Why would I listen to that station? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense to me why you'd insult a potential voter.
I actually think that there's... that he's suffering from a little bit of dementia.
I don't know. The thing is weird.
I think that's why his wife is so protective over him.
Well, I don't,
because that's what happens. And when you live with somebody with dementia, you become very protective over them.
Well, and I don't. In talking about that, you're referencing the fact that these vegan people keep jumping on stage with him. It was Bernie a couple weeks back. It was the anti-milkers who the women who jumped on stage topless and poured strawberry milk over their heads.
Yeah, their mother must have been so proud.
Yes. Still, it's to the point where like, okay, I'm not sure I understand that protest, but hey, it was nice. It was great to look at. But matter of fact,
for men.
Do you realize that like in the personals of Craigslist that's like the number one personal now? The guys are on there. All the guys are in there looking for a woman who's into strawberry milk, if you know what I mean. So
is that right?
No, I'm kidding.
I'm like, what are you doing on Craigslist, Brad?
Well, no, but and then the vegan protesters keep rushing the stage, and just over the weekend I watched this thing about the Secret Service, and I thought he had Secret Service protection, but apparently he doesn't. Now, here's the other weird thing. There was this whole long thing. It was a news video, and they talked about that when they get to the point. I guess it's to the point where we're a little bit too far out clockwise, time-wise, from the election to get Secret Service protection. I thought the vice president already had it. I thought the former vice president, obviously the former president, Obama has it, and George W. has it, and because he's former president, and I get it. I totally understand that. But I thought that when you got to be the vice president, apparently you don't. But what the article talked about, or this TV news article talked about, was that Obama, got protection a year and a half before the election because there were all these threats against him because he was a black guy, and people were going like, oh, we can't have a black president. So he got Secret Service protection like the earliest any potential presidential candidate has ever gotten it. He got it in 2007, and the election wasn't until 2008. So I'm like, man.
He probably was getting some kind of threats, or they thought there was a potential threat towards him.
Yeah, but still, where do you draw the line on that? I mean, the amazing thing for me is, did you vote yesterday?
I did.
Okay, now I'm not going to ask you, who you voted for or any of that kind of stuff. But
well, I will tell you that I'm actually a Republican, but I voted a Democratic ticket.
Well, okay. Were you? And the reason is that I saw I got a copy of the Democratic presidential ballot, because that's all that was yesterday. There was nothing else, any of the ballots, except for just at least in St. Louis County and St. Charles County. There's nothing on there other than just the the president thing. Were you?
Yeah, but it was for both parties, even though this was a Democratic primary.
No, I know, I understand. It was both parties voted for it. But were you amazed by the number of people that were on the ballot?
I was for the Democrats, yes, and half of them have dropped out. So do you vote for them or you don't? You have to sit there and think, okay, he dropped out, she dropped out. So I don't want to vote for any of them.
I thought it was interesting. And by the way, one of the ones who was the lady who was on the ballot and who dropped out, Marianne Williamson, I think is her name. Is that her name? Marianne Williamson. Okay, I
didn't even hear about her.
Okay, I heard her.
Because you weren't sweet on her like you are Tulsi Gabbard.
Well, no, we talked about Marianne because she said some really bizarre things. She was on some of the original debates, and she was. Oh yeah.
How come they haven't let Tulsi on the original debates?
I don't. She was on one a long time ago, and that was it. Anyway, Marianne Williamson was on. I was listening to NPR last night, and they were giving the coverage of all the elections, and she was fascinating. They had her on for like 10 minutes. And boy, she's an interesting woman and extremely well spoken. Everybody, sort of chalked her up to being sort of a nutcase. But man, I was totally impressed with her. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, here we go once again. Here's a situation where here's a woman that the press sort of painted as, oh, she's not really a serious candidate. She's some, and I can't remember what they call her. They call her she's like a self-help guru or something like that. She goes around and she helps people with, like almost like a life coach kind of deal.
I was going to say, is she a life coach?
Yeah, sort of like a life coach kind of deal. And man, I tell you what, when you heard her just being interviewed one-on-one with a news person, she was really good. And she said a lot of very interesting things, a lot of things I thought to myself, man, why didn't we get to know this woman? And it's like the same thing with like a lot of these people, like Tulsi Gabbard. Like that. Well, the last debate they had. Oh, and don't get me going about this. Now they're talking about, well, we don't need debates anymore. It's pretty much done. Joe's it. And come on.
I don't know if that's necessarily accurate.
Who knows? I still say there's.
But I do know that there's quite a few people that voted for Gabbard.
Well, I did.
For your girl. I voted for your girl.
I'm telling you, and what's so funny about it is the Democrats, they're the ones that are saying, okay, we need people of color. We need the new generation. And who do they have? Joe Biden, and Bernie Sanders. It's like, come on, and don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of ageism that you get to a certain age and people go, oh, that guy's he's stupid. He doesn't know anything. He's an old guy. Look at the Supreme Court justices. I every time I think about this, I have my one attorney friend, and she told me that in part of her practice that she said that on a given week, when she was dealing with attorneys, she was a defense attorney. When she was dealing with plaintiffs' attorneys, she said that almost every week, like at least a third to a half of the attorneys that she was up against were 75 plus, and quite a few of them were 80 plus. And she said she didn't want to tangle with them in court, just did not want to. Because of the fact that
they were, they had a lot of
They knew their stuff. They were sharp as tacks, and they had all the years of experience, and she just didn't want to mess with them because she knew they would wipe the floor with her. And she was no shrinking violet, trust me. She was not the kind of person who's like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk to you. I mean, she'd just go up and be in people's faces. That's the way she was. But she was like even intimidated by these old dudes who are the attorneys. So who knows? Anyway, how'd we get talking about that?
I don't know. We just blah, blah, blah.
And you know what? For the last couple of days, I've made fun of the coronavirus stuff. I don't have to make fun of it anymore. It's just totally out of control.
It is.
Oh,
you know Mary Kay, right? The cosmetic company.
Right.
They actually have this thing called Career Conference. And they have it every year. It's across the country.
Don't tell me they've canceled it.
They've canceled them all across the nation.
And then there's yesterday the stuff comes out. Oh, they're not having a studio audience for the taping of the Jeopardy shows because they're afraid that someone in the audience might have coronavirus. And Alex Trebek is in a weakened state because he's going through chemo because of his cancer. I'm going like, oh my God. And yet, what did you and I do last night? Did we drive down a highway with bald tires at 120 miles an hour? Did we steal a plane out at Spirit and buzz the tower and then land illegally at Spirit? Did we walk into a police department and tell them that, give me the keys to all your cars, we're going to steal your police cars? No, we did something even more stupider than that. We went to a networking event and talked face-to-face to people and actually shook some people's hands yesterday, Shelley.
And some of us hugged.
What is wrong with us? What is wrong? What
I don't know. And it was a lovely little expo, too.
Yeah, you were there. I guess you were there after. I was there early.
I was there after you.
You were there
later.
Oh,
by the way, I signed you up for some prizes.
Oh, great. That's all I need. Okay.
I know how you love that.
So you and I tempted death by going to a networking event where we actually were, like you. Once again, you're a hugger. I'm not. I hug if someone hugs me. I actually had a woman who hugged me last night, and I even said to her, I said, this is illegal now. You can't do this with the coronavirus, and she just laughed. Oh, that was pretty funny, And
I bet I know who that was.
I bet you don't.
I bet I do.
Bet you don't. Anyway, the idea being that we did something horrendous, and now they're talking about Major League Baseball. Are they going to let people in the stands? And basketball, they're going to let people in the stands. And I'm going like, okay, this is like totally out of control. I mean, it's just.
Isn't our new team called the Battlehawks?
Yeah, they're talking about there was rumors that they're going to cancel the rest of the season.
No way.
I'm telling you, I heard it yesterday.
No, that's not true.
I heard it yesterday. They were talking.
Because I wish I would have known that, because there was actually a car, because I was over at a nice little bistro over in Cottleville, and right in front of the windows was a big black vehicle, and it had Battlehawks on the back of the windshield.
Well,
so I'm assuming somebody that works with the Battlehawks was there.
The smartest woman in the world just texted me saying that all the colleges are shutting down. Now think about this. Think about spring break coming up. You know what they've proven, though? You know what they've proven?
What?
Spring break is actually good because of the fact that when you get into the sun and you ingest large amounts of alcohol, it kills the coronavirus.
I wonder if spring breaks are going to be canceled.
Well, how can they do that? How can come on.
People are canceling travel everywhere.
Hey, trust me. Back in the day, when I was of that age, I had friends of mine that if they had to crawl to spring break, they would have gone. You know what I mean? They would have hitchhiked to spring break, or they would have ridden their bicycle to spring break. Come on, you're not going to cancel.
Yeah. Florida will be closing their borders.
Yeah, no, they're not. It's out of control. It's just out of control.
It really is, and it's sad.
And
it really is
once
sad.
Again, what's the headline I read last night or early this morning? Number of coronavirus cases is over 1,000. I'm going like, okay, no, hold on a minute now.
Did they ever talk about the people that the coronavirus didn't even affect. They lived through it.
Listen to me. I've got my coronavirus cough.
Stop saying that, Bradley. I'm not kidding.
Oh.
You can't put that kind of stuff out in the universe.
I'm putting it out in the universe. It's going out in the universe.
I heard what you said.
It's going out in the universe. Nobody knows it, but it's going out
Stop
in the universe. It's going out there.
Okay. You're a man-child. Oh, look. It's 6:27.
Westplex 107.1, 100 bad days. Has that been since the beginning of the year? No, we haven't had 100 days yet. We're on today's day 71, if I'm not mistaken. 6:38, this is BS in the Morning. Shelley and Brad. She's Brad. I'm Shelley. And you and I both got this from the smartest woman in the world. It's an interesting situation. A guy owns a radio station in Santa Clarita, California. His name's Carl Goldman. He was on one of the cruise ships that had the coronavirus, and he's now in day 33 of his quarantine in Nebraska. Day 33. He's still testing positive.
Wow.
And yet
there are probably a lot of people who are testing positive.
Well, but the interesting thing was he was on the cruise with his wife. And, obviously they're cohabitating in a cabin, and she didn't get it, and he did. I mean,
No, they quarantined them.
No, but
they quarantined him. She never got it.
That's what I'm saying.
They were separated.
No, but what I'm saying is they got it while they were on the cruise. So they were together. He got it, she didn't. Once again, they're in the same cabin,
That's okay. I understand.
Close contact. Well, I don't know if they've been married for a while. Maybe not close contact, but anyway.
That was funny.
So if you want to read this guy, and it's pretty interesting. He owns a station out in Santa Clarita. You can go, his website is hometownstation.com, and scroll down. The website's a little bit hard to navigate, but if you scroll down, he's got a thing. It's on a slider. It's 33 days in coronavirus COVID-19 quarantine. Carl Goldman continues Chronicles Part 24, and he talks about how he gets tested every day, and they do this and they do that. And you know how sophisticated it is?
How sophisticated is it?
Post-it notes. The doctor comes.
Sometimes going back to the old way of doing things is not a bad thing.
He's got a picture of his Post-it note, and the doctor comes in with a yellow Post-it note, and it has his name, Carl, has the date 3/8/20, and it says NP, and then it says positive, and then OP negative, and that means the doctor wrote that. That means that he's positive in his nasal passage for coronavirus, but OP, I guess, what does that OP stand for? OP is your throat passage. I don't know what, occipital passage or something like that. He's negative.
That one I don't know.
So he's got it in his nose, but he doesn't in his throat. So you know what? I mean, I'm simple as that. Just amputate his nose. I think that's what they should do.
Right? That's a little extreme, don't you think?
Just cut his nose off, Okay, dude, 33 days.
Despite his face.
Right. We hate to tell you this, but our new procedure is if you test for the COVID-19 for more than 30 days and it's still in your nasal passage, off comes the nasal passage. We're just going to chop that sucker off, and we'll give you a fake nose that you can wear around like that. No, I'm kidding, of course.
So he's cutting his nose off despite his face.
Despite his disease or whatever,
Yeah, that's not really a good idea. I think you need to come up with another fix.
Okay.
What?
I subscribe to the WIL. I'm on their app, and I've got their notifications set to on. So whenever anything happens, I get the notification on the home screen of my phone. And the one I got last night was, I thought to myself, the world had ended. I looked at it, and there's all these there's all these exclamation points and the hazard symbols and stuff like that. And you know what it was?
No idea.
Zach Brown canceled for Thursday night.
Okay, I gather Zach Brown is a well-known country artist.
Yeah, you don't know who Zach Brown is?
I do not.
Yeah, he's sort of crossover. I think he's had a couple top 40 hits, but mainly country. And what's interesting is, this is what's really interesting about Zach Brown. Zach Brown has this thing that he's like a Louisiana guy or something like that, and like his grandmother was like this great cook. I can't remember the whole story behind it. So he's gotten into cooking. And whenever he goes to concerts, if you know somebody, and if you're like a friend of a friend, you get invited to his food truck. And he doesn't have like a food truck like you see around here in the St. Louis area where, like they buy the old delivery trucks, like the old UPS kind of trucks, and they turn them into food trucks. No, he has a full 53-foot tractor trailer, which is like a complete gourmet kitchen in a tractor trailer with tents that fold out and the whole bit, and you get invited and he cooks for you.
Now that is awesome.
Yeah, and he's, and this is like the big deal that like where, and this is like he's famous for this as he tours around the country, that if you know somebody, or like sometimes he does this with radio stations promotions, you get to go to Zach Brown's, food truck and you get to eat and he feeds you. And I'm going like, okay, guess what? They're not going to be doing that either. That's gone. No concert, no food truck, no nothing,
I actually think that we should have food trucks at all venues.
What's so funny about that is you go back 20 years and what did they?
They were street vendors.
Well, but no. If
they were.
No.
They were street vendors.
No.
There was like back in St. Louis, back in the 20s, there was this old gentleman.
No, you're not.
And they called him Old Sam.
No.
And he said naters, taters, torn on the top.
No.
And I'm sorry, what?
You're not. He didn't. He was like a street vendor. I'm talking about.
Yes, he was.
But I'm talking the original food trucks. Were the trucks that went around to construction sites and to industrial areas, and were the guys, and they used to call them, the nickname was, do you know what the nickname they called them was?
No.
The Roach Coach. That's what they called them.
Oh, yes, I do know that, because they used to come by over at the United States Publication Office for the U.S. Army.
And those were the original food
Roach
trucks.
Coaches, yes.
And people made fun of them. Oh, my God, did you eat something off the Roach Coach? And like people made fun of them. And now, hey, we need more. Shelley, we need more food trucks because they're not Roach Coaches anymore. I guess they got rid of all the roaches.
They're elite. Yeah, it's kind of like eccentric and crazy.
Well, that's like
only they're elite now.
That's like the one that burnt to the axles out there at Chesterfield.
What?
Oh, last year they had a huge fire. One of them caught fire, and I mean, literally burnt down to the tires. I mean, it was like a big puddle of metal when the thing. It was some event out at they got that little Chesterfield amphitheater that's like across the street from Chesterfield Mall. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. Are they going to keep that?
I don't know. No, well, you know what? They found out that.
Just don't even say it. Move on.
You know where I was going.
Yeah, I do. No, move on.
Okay. It's 6:45. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning. I am S. She is B. 6:52. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. And if you want to listen to the website or go to the website for the radio station, it's westplex1071.com. Do you know, Shelley, who Vovan and Lexus are?
Who?
Vovan, Vovan, and Lexus, Lexus, just like the car.
No, I do not.
They are a radio team and a comedy team from Russia. His real name is Vladimir Konstanasov, and her name is Alexei Stolyarov. Okay, and they are known as Vovan and Lexus. You probably have heard of them before because of the fact that their big thing is they call all these mainly American people, and now they're in the news because they called Prince Harry, but they call these people posing as other people. If you remember when the stuff was going on, the impeachment hearings were going on, and they called what's his face, Pencil Neck. You know who they called Pencil Neck?
No.
He was the prosecutor in the impeachment case, the guy from the representative from California, and they record these conversations. I don't know how in the world they get through all the security and things like that, but they talk to these famous people, and in that case they said that they had pictures of Donald Trump, shall we say, cavorting with Russian women in Moscow. And they were going to send him the pictures. Well, anyway, the latest victim is they called Prince Harry. And what they're doing now is the woman who is Lexus, she poses as Greta Thunberg, the 16 or the 13-year-old girl who is like the environmentalist from Sweden or wherever she was.
I'm talking about her.
Right? Who is the Time Woman of the Year, and the guy poses as her father. And they get through to people. They convince people that this is who they are. And then they record the calls. And they talk to Prince Harry. And they have all these quotes from him about how what it's like, how tough it was for him and Meghan to leave Britain, and how, they live in this luxury island in Vancouver, British Columbia. It's really sort of funny. It's like, how do they do this? They talked to him on 2 separate occasions, on New Year's Eve, so on December 31st, and then January 22nd. And one of the calls was recorded and published on YouTube and Facebook on Monday night by the hoaxers with an animated cartoon of Harry and Greta. In both calls, Harry opens up to the fake Greta about the tension of the heart at the heart of the royal family. He says, quote, "You can call me whatever you want. Harry is fine." He then speaks out about how hard it was for him and Meghan to quit Britain. Quote, that's probably a conversation for another time. There's lots of layers to it and lots of pieces to the puzzle. But sometimes the right decision isn't always the easy one. And this decision certainly wasn't the easy one, but it was the right decision for our family, the right decision to be able to protect my son. And I think there's a hell of a lot of people around the world that can identify and respect us for putting our family first. But yeah, it's a tricky one, but we will start a new life. How do they do this? How do you get in touch with all these important people? You and I should do that. It's Brad and Shelley who talk to Bernie Sanders or our Vice President Trump. No, excuse me, Vice President Pence or President Trump.
Wow, Brad.
No, don't you think we should do that? We should call these people and then we'd play them back on our show in the morning.
I would love to do that. Actually, I was thinking about calling Tulsi.
Okay, but we have
writing a letter to Trump's people and
we have to have
Biden and Bernie's.
But we have to have a persona. That's how the thing works. See, the one they pretend they're like other people. So it's like everybody wants to talk to Greta. Oh yeah, I want to talk to Greta. Yeah, Greta, she's like big time. She's like this cool kid that's telling us how we're all going to die. Isn't it amazing that now all of a sudden the environmentalists, nobody's talking about the environment anymore. It's all coronavirus. It's like,
because that's what I'm telling you. The media, there's something going on at the White House. It could be this shenanigans with the Democratic Party. I don't know. But something was going on in the White House. While they're sitting there talking about the coronavirus, Trump is out there doing his job on the side.
You know what I think it is?
What?
I think that CVS drugstores are really owned by Russians, and they've just taken over the pharmacies at Schnucks.
No, they're owned by in some place in Europe.
And pretty soon, once they're in the pharmacies in Schnucks, then they'll take over the meat counter, and then they'll take over the bakery.
Oh, stop it!
And then pretty soon, when you go to Schnucks, it'll be the CVS, and everything in there will be laced with some kind of hallucinant drug, and that's what'll happen.
So have you ever seen Demolition Man?
No.
With Sylvester Stallone?
No, why?
Because everything was taken over by Taco Bell.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh. The only restaurant you could go out to that was like a full sit-down restaurant was Taco Bell.
Well, see, I'm not too far off then.
No, there's a lot of poetic license in movies, but there's a modicum of truth there. You just have to. So
everything was so in other words, no matter where you went, you just had to eat Taco Bell stuff?
Correct.
And so what was the reasoning behind that? Was Taco Bell trying to corner the world, or were they trying to rule the world?
I don't know. It was probably like a McDonald's. McDonald's is a chain that has taken over the world. Taco Bell, instead of McDonald's, it was Taco Bell. And they also had 3 seashells in the bathroom. No toilet paper, but 3 seashells.
Okay, now
I still don't know what those are about.
Okay, now explain something to me. This was in Demolition Man?
Yes.
Okay, explain something to me, okay? I keep reading this in all the news headlines about how there's a shortage of toilet paper. Why is there a shortage of toilet paper now?
I don't know.
Does that make any sense to you?
No, absolutely not.
I'm going like, oh, okay, toilet paper. So what do? You wipe your hands with toilet paper now? I mean, like you wipe your nose with. I don't get it. I mean, it's like I read this and go, oh, there's no toilet paper anymore. I go, why is there not any toilet paper? God, I remember.
Well, there's no hand sanitizer either.
God, I remember I had a big fight with my wife years ago.
Over the toilet paper, whether it's over or under?
Oh, no. No, I got tired.
It's over, by the way.
No.
That was the trademark.
No,
but go on.
No. I got into a huge fight of all my married years. This is probably one of the biggest fights I had with my wife.
What's that?
Well, we have 4 kids, so it was like constantly changing the toilet paper in the bathroom, right? So
yeah,
I bought one of those, just like I had at the office. I bought one of those dual roll, super jumbo roll dispensers, that has like
yes.
And I put it in our bathroom, because each roll was like, each roll is like 10,000 feet. And when one roll runs out, the machine automatically go bonk, the new roll rolls into place.
And you tried to put that in her bathrooms in her home?
I put it in there. And I
could see why she would be upset.
I was told in no uncertain terms to remove those. I thought to myself, well, it's the perfect solution. Nobody ever puts toilet paper in. Now you don't have to worry about it. We could go 2 weeks and not have to change the toilet paper because we have and I got the super. There's like the jumbo rolls, and then there's like the super jumbo rolls.
I don't blame her.
Why? Well, they were cool. I just, screwed them right into the wall. They looked good. They had that smoked, like gray smoked plastic enclosures.
Yeah, I know what they look like, Brad, and I don't blame her. I wouldn't want those in my house either.
God, she got mad at me about that.
Rightfully so. Did you fix the wall after you had to take them down?
No. And I think to this day, probably the screw holes are still there.
That was nice.
But it's just being practical. The stupid little rolls of toilet paper you get, buy the industrial rolls.
You don't have commercial toilet paper rolls in your home unless you're a bachelor.
Maybe that was foreshadowing my situation.
You put it out in the universe.
Maybe that's what it was. Okay.
Oh, look, it's 7:02.
Westplex 107.1, Dancing with a Stranger, that has been declared illegal in 20 countries due to the coronavirus thing.
Okay, yeah, that was kind of BS. But when you said that hugging is illegal now,
it is.
You were kidding, right?
No. The Missouri legislature just passed a emergency bill that hugging in the state of Missouri is now illegal. You can't do that. Matter of fact.
Okay, so you're full of BS. Got it.
No.
Okay, what's up next?
The loop trolley's coming back. Did you hear this?
I didn't, but I'm so excited.
Get this, okay? You're thinking, okay, they ran out of money and they shut down, right? Well, due to the fact that they levied a tax, it's like a TIF, a tax increment financing or some kind of a deal, when you go down to the loop, anything you buy in that area, you pay a penny more in sales tax. So they've been collecting this money since the loop trolley went dormant. And now Joe Edwards says there's money in the bank, and he thinks that by next month, the loop trolley will be back.
Well, that's excellent. I'm glad. What about, wasn't Bi-State going to take it over?
Yeah, but they walked on that because I think they sort of saw this is like not going to be a good situation.
What a bunch of posers.
What, Bi-State?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They get everybody all excited about, revitalizing the trolley, revitalizing Delmar Loop. And then they don't do it because they ran out of money.
Oh, no. That wasn't the case. I think that when they looked at it, they thought, okay, this is a losing proposition. There's no way we're going to be able to turn this around. And, once again, I said all along, and I'm not trying to say I'm the smartest guy in the world because I'm not. I'm the dumbest guy in the world. But the whole thing, it would be like, let me be like making an example. It would be like me saying, okay, I think we should build a new trolley, and I think the trolley should go from the General Motors plant in Wentzville to Forrestal. And people would go like, okay, why would you go from the General Motors plant in Wentzville to Forrestal, which is like 6 or 7 miles? Well, but there's this really cool truck stop in Forrestal, and people at the Wentzville plant would be able to get onto the trolley and go to have lunch at the truck stop at the TA out there at 70 in Forrestal.
It is a good truck stop. Have you ever eaten there?
I've eaten at the Popeyes. There's a Popeyes there, right?
Yes, there's a Popeyes there, but the truck stop, the Country Pride, wonderful. But I took Caleb there the other day.
But making my point is that it's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to build a trolley between the Wentzville, General Motors plant and the truck stop in Forrestal? Well, we want to get people back and forth. It's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Now, once upon a time,
I think it makes perfect sense, but that's just me.
Once upon a time, they were talking about extending Metrolink out into St. Charles County and actually having it like go right on to between the two Blanchette bridges as they're working on right now and go into St. Charles County, and people shot that down. But
yeah, they shot it down, with hand grenades.
Once again, I get Metrolink, and like I said, I love Metrolink. I've ridden Metrolink.
I like Metrolink too. I don't think it's bad at all.
Well, I've ridden it well over 100 times in my life. Probably more than that. Probably more than 100 times. And it makes sense in the respect that if you're going, like, especially for those people that live, like if you live, there's that one apartment building, that one apartment complex right there at Highway 40 and Hanley. Between Brentwood and Hanley on the south side, and there's a Metrolink station right there. And if you live in that apartment complex, and let's say you worked at the hospital, and I had a couple friends of mine that worked at the hospital, and they talked about how the parking down in the hospital area was so tough that they would go and they would park. I know the one guy talked about how he'd go and park at. He was down in South County, and he would drive his car to the Metrolink station there in Shrewsbury. He'd jump on the Metrolink there, and then he would take it down to the Central West End station, where he'd get off for the hospitals, and the hospitals are right there. He says he loved it. That makes sense, because of the fact he doesn't have to park in the parking garages there in the hospital corridor and the whole bit. Or like if you're going to like the Cardinals games and stuff like that, the Battlehawks games, you get right out there at the station. If you go into the Blues games, I've ridden the Metrolink several times to go into like Blues games, where I'll park somewhere out to the west and take the Metrolink down there. Or like a lot of times I go to Clayton. I parked on in the evening, if I'm going someplace, I'd parked on the street in Clayton and jumped on Metrolink and gone downtown. Loved it.
I always jump on, I leave my car parked at the Hanley location.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
Why?
Oh, coronavirus there.
Oh, whatever. Say it one more time, Brad, because you haven't said it enough this morning.
What? Oh, well, here's what bothers me about, once again, this is Brad, the guy with a journalism degree, okay?
I am so over the CV that I can't even stand it.
Okay, this is the one thing that bothers me about the current state of affairs, is if you go to the CNN website, the top story is not a story, it's analysis. And it says right there in little tiny words, analysis. It says, coronavirus is about to change your life for a little while, okay? Hey, it's opinion, okay? Some dude who's working for CNN who's going like, well, I'm going to write this opinion piece, and nobody realizes that in the little tiny print in the lower left-hand corner, it says analysis, and you read this article and you think, oh my God, this is horrible. And once again, what's happened to journalism? They're not telling you the facts. They're telling you what their opinion of the facts are. Once again, that used to be on the editorial page, the op-ed page in newspapers. Well, now with everybody switching over to digital media as far as watching videos and things like that, it's like all opinion stuff. Don't give me the opinion, give me the facts. That would be like me saying, oh, I think the Cardinals are going to be in last place this year. And you go like, you saying like, well, why is, I just think so. So that would be like me, starting up my own website. Cardinals will finish in last place this year.
So what would the domain be?
CardinalsandLastPlace.com. It's simple as that.
Are you going to go on GoDaddy to see if it's available?
But once again, it's to the point where I read this story the other day that said that they asked this, it was like a survey, and they asked people if they would stop drinking Corona beer because of the virus, and 40%
people have done that.
40% of the people who responded yes because they don't want to get the coronavirus from Corona beer.
Yes.
But
it sounds like something I would say, but even I know that that's silly.
And that's the problem, because the fact that people don't do their research. It's just like I told you, like we talked about last hour. I heard Marianne Williamson on NPR last night, who was just fascinating. I mean, what an interesting woman she is. And yet they made fun of her during the debates. Oh, Marianne Williamson, she's some kook. You remember how they made fun of her?
I do.
Yeah. I mean, I was to the point where I'm going like, man, and I've heard other people say this too, because I've had other people that said they've been a follower of hers for years, and how she's a very intelligent woman, and how, she really has a lot of great ideas. And yet when, the press wrote about her, oh, she's some crazy kook. She's a life coach. What does she know? She's not a politician. She's some dumb woman, Do
you really think they said that?
Oh, they did. There were a lot of people made fun of her. Because of the fact that she made some strange comment one night, and everybody just went off on it.
Some strange comment, meaning something that was positive.
No, she said something about she was talking about
spot on.
She was talking about another one. You go, girl. She did one of those kind of things. She was talking about some other woman who wasn't in the debate, but I can't remember the context. But everybody went, that's what we say. She's a fruitcake.
So you mean that she's upbeat and smart and intelligent? And how are her looks?
She's an attractive woman, and I agree with everything you say.
She's got everything that you would like for a candidate.
But the problem is,
because she's pretty.
Okay, now here's the problem. The problem is, this is the problem that Trump has had, is that, if you go back and God, here we go into this. There's a reel on YouTube. And it's really funny. And it's all these people who are making fun. This goes back to this starts in 2013, 2014. And probably one of the funniest sections of this reel. And it's all about, people saying, well, Donald Trump will never be the president. There's no way. Nobody would ever elect him. And who's the guy, Bill Maher? You know who Bill Maher is?
Yes, I do.
Okay. He had a round table one night. And they had all these people who were, giving their opinion. This was in 2014 or 2015, and giving their opinion.
Think the table was really round?
It was. It was a round table, and they had several guests, and these were all various experts, political experts, in the whole bit. And one of the people on there was Ann Coulter. Do you know who Ann Coulter is?
It seems like I do, but refresh my memory.
Ann Coulter is a author and a very conservative woman, super conservative. She's done talk shows before, and she's once again you know her. She's very outspoken, very intelligent, very an attractive woman. And they're going around this round table, and they're saying, okay, and this is 2014, 2015. And they're asking people, well, now, who do you think in the 2016 election, who do you think is going to be running for president? Who do you think is going to win? So they have all these experts, and I think it's going to be Hillary Clinton. And, Hillary Clinton is a shoo-in, and she's going to be the next president. We're going to have our first woman president. And then they get to Ann Coulter, and Bill Maher says, Ann, what do you think? And she says, Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. And the audience just can't laugh loud enough. And they're going, oh, and people are just falling out of their chairs. Oh, she's the stupidest woman in the world. Donald Trump, president. And she was the smartest woman in the room. And everybody made fun of her.
So she had insight into what was really going to happen. And so she had faith in Donald Trump.
Shelley, there was a day, and I can't remember the day. Matter of fact, it was 4 years ago to the day, one of these days, where I went down to the Trump rally when he was here in St. Louis.
I remember when you did that.
Remember? And I called
you. Yes, I do.
And I said, this guy's going to be the next president. Remember that? I called you.
I did.
Did I not say that or what?
Yes, you did.
Because
you didn't go in. You just stood around
I
outside.
I couldn't go in. I mean, because it was one of the deals where, you went online and you registered for a ticket, and I printed out my ticket, and the line went out the front door of the, whatever it is now, the Peabody Opera House, whatever, went out the front door, down Market, south on Tucker, west on Clark, all the way out to like Union Station, came back around on 18th Street, came back down Market. And I'm going like, there must be 1.5 miles of people waiting in line. And there's no way they're going to get in. And I saw the people there, and I saw the things they were saying and how they were so positive. I thought to myself,
Wasn't that when they started wearing those JJ hats?
No, that was that. But no, that was afterwards. But I thought to myself,
okay.
I have been. I'm not Joe, dyed-in-the-wool newsman, but I've covered a lot of stuff through the years, and I thought to myself, I have never seen anything like this. And the interesting thing was that one of my ex-employees, Kevin Colleen, who is a big reporter in Camo X, as I'm driving away from the event, I'm leaving downtown, and I hear him on the air talking about, it's a sold-out Trump appearance, and there's a few people outside waiting to get in. And I thought to myself, I don't believe what I just heard. So I called up the Camo X newsroom, and Kevin was there, and he answered the phone. I go, Kevin, what do you mean there's a few people? Well, there's a few. I said, did you go outside? Oh, well, no, not really. I go, did you see the line that went down Market and then went down Tucker and went down Clark and to 18th Street and back again? No, I didn't see that. I go, so you just said on the air that there were a few people in line. I would say there were probably 30 or 40 or 50,000 people in line. Oh, I didn't see that.
Well, he was right on top of things, wasn't he?
Well, but once again, if you would have listened to Camo X and you wouldn't have been down there, you would have gone like, a few people. Trump's got a couple people they're showing up to seeing him, and a few people outside that didn't get in. They didn't have a ticket.
I'm surprised that they didn't have it at the Jones Dome.
I can't remember the deal on that, but anyway, see.
I'm sorry?
Once again, this is Brad with the journalism degree saying, don't believe everything you read. And just like the goofy stories this morning. Okay, there's stories this morning all over this morning about like the one in the Post-Dispatch talks about Maryville University is going to shut down. And
oh my goodness, I was just going to tell you that.
Yeah,
that Maryville and St. Louis U
is going to shut down.
Moving their classes online for 2 weeks.
Right. And here's this goofy guy from the government saying that the worst is yet to come, and yada 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 yada. And it's like, come on. St. Louis area events canceled or postponed by concerns over the coronavirus. Family of Missouri's first coronavirus patient broke self-quarantine. Lawyer for St. Louis County coronavirus patients' relatives say they were not told to quarantine. Come on.
And it just keeps on going on. And I'm telling you that the media is sensationalizing this to cover up, to put the focus on the coronavirus as opposed to something that's going on. Something else is going on in this country, and that is why they're making such a big deal about the coronavirus.
I can tell you exactly what it is.
What is it?
Ladue and 170. Ladue Road and 170.
Uh-huh.
You know where that is? There's a shopping center, Schnucks.
I do.
Okay, they're building there's a new building that's going to be built on the parking lot right there, just on the Ladue side, a 170. It's a White Castle. This is what they're covering up. Nobody wants anybody to know they're going to build a White Castle in Ladue. So that's what they're doing. This whole coronavirus thing is all covering up.
Whatever, Brad.
For the White Castle they're going to build.
Okay, you sit there and you just mock me. Okay, you do what you do. You do you, boo. But I'm telling you that this is what the media does. They make a big deal out of something, and I'm not saying it's not a big deal because it is, but and the smartest man in the world just texted me and said I was right. Yes.
You were right about
So that's what I'm telling you. There is something that is going on that we may or may not know about. It could be the shenanigans with the Democratic Party. I don't know. But there is something that the media is trying to draw our attention to take it away from something else. And I am not a person to sit there and to be a conspiracy theorist. That's not what I am. I'm just telling you, I just know that's what they do.
White Castle at Ladue in 170.
That could very well be. Everybody loves White Castles.
Except in Ladue. You can't have that in Ladue. It's not allowed.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I've told you. You know what? Yesterday, I did say something wrong yesterday. Since say
that again. I didn't hear you.
I said something wrong yesterday about the fact that this guy and his daughter, whose one daughter got the coronavirus from Italy, and she rode the Amtrak, and they shut down the Amtrak, and they closed the Amtrak station, and then he took his other daughter to the father-daughter dance at the Ritz-Carlton, and I made the comment that all the houses now in Ladue were selling for $20,000. I was wrong.
They're selling for 10.
Exactly. You read the story. Yes, they're all selling for $10,000. You just have to go to the Ladue City Hall and you just pick your house and you give them $10,000. You get your new house in Ladue. Simple as that. 729. Westplex 107.1. John Mayer, who I always am blown away about. John Mayer, the guy that leads this.
He has got the voice, baby.
Oh, but and the amazing thing is, I don't know if I told you this years and years and years ago. I pick up my son. My son picked me up some I can't remember. I was somewhere and he picked me up and I'm in his car and he's got a CD on and there's some guy just ripping on the guitar, just shredding the guitar. And I go, who's that? Oh, that's John Mayer. No. I mean, like heavy duty rock and roll kind of guitar solo kind of stuff. He's like an incredible guitarist.
I heard that about him.
Yes. I mean, he can just make the guitar wail. And and he's been on this list of the top 100 guitarists. And yet he has this other side that he sings all the sappy love songs. Love on the Weekend.
Yeah, but he's not whiny.
And
I'm just saying, I'm just going there.
And
he is not a whiny man.
I get in trouble whenever I say this. Not the best looking guy in the world, but
John Mayer, he's a doll.
No, he's sort of doofy looking. And
no, he's not.
Yes, he's doofy looking. He's got all the beautiful women because, once again, where did I screw up in my life? I didn't keep taking
You didn't shave your head?
No, I didn't take the guitar lessons. Because, once again, you can be a frog.
Whatever.
You can be
God, let that go.
You can be a frog, and if you can play the guitar, you get on stage, and women, oh my God, you're the most handsome guy in the world. Oh, you go out with me.
He is not completely unfortunate looking, and he's very talented, and he doesn't whine.
And the women just he's gone out with he's gone out with Katy Perry. He went out with Jennifer Aniston. He went out with Joan Henway. He went out with Jim Mata.
Uh-huh. That's a lot of people. You're so silly, Brad.
And then, you know what? And then he started a new company. Do you know about the new company he started?
Oh, man. What is it?
Matter Baby.
I'm sorry?
Matter Baby.
That's the name of his company?
Yeah, Matter Baby.
I wonder how he's doing with that name. What does he do?
They have a product. They produce Matter Babies.
Hence the name?
Yeah, Matter Baby.
Okay. Okay, so what's the matter, baby?
Nothing. What's the matter with you, baby?
You knew I knew that, right? Man joke.
What? What are you talking
Dad
about?
Dad joke. Or is that a pickup line?
Oh, man, I heard one the other day. It was so funny.
Can you say it on the air?
What was something about a guy would hand a woman, oh no, what was it? There was a couple of them. It was somebody sent me this, and it was funny. It was some comedian doing all these crazy pickup lines. What was it about? Is your name Wendy?
No.
And the woman would say no, and he goes, "Well, it should be because you're hot and juicy."
Oh, I get that.
And then the other one was is your name Little Caesars?
No.
And no, well, you should be because you're hot and ready.
Oh my goodness. That's funny.
All these terrible, like still one of my favorite ones.
What's that?
Are those astronaut pants you're wearing?
Why?
Because your butt's out of this world. You don't like that?
Have you ever tried any of those?
Oh, all the time. Why do you think my face is always is messed up from getting slapped all the time? You know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All the time. I did last night. I went from place to place at the O'Fallon Chamber. Hey, the women. I walked. Hey. Did you hurt yourself? The woman says, well, hurt myself. Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously you fell from heaven. Did you hurt yourself?
Oh my God! Gag.
How about? Hey, is your dad still in jail? Well,
that's
what do you
wrong.
mean? Is my dad still in jail? Well, obviously he's a thief because he stole the stars from the sky and put them in your eyes.
Aw, yeah, and a hard no.
You don't like those? Oh.
No.
Oh.
And no.
Is that a Corona?
I'm not even going to play.
Okay, never mind. Well,
look, it's 7:40.
Oh, it's time for the weather.
Jennifer Wojcicki, come on up, baby.
Westplex 107.1, the guy who sounds like he would be like some 50-year-old grizzled looking guy who looks like he just got back from hiking the Sahara Desert. And actually, when you see a picture of him, he looks like he's a 17-year-old kid who was on the chess team at high school, right? Am I right?
He does look young. I'm not going to lie, but he's got a great voice, doesn't he?
He doesn't. He's one of those guys that sounds nothing like what he looks, or vice versa, whichever way you look at it.
Right.
So one of those kind of things. Okay.
Yeah, he's a happy. He writes happy little songs.
Yes. I got a question for you.
Okay.
This is the 1-year anniversary of something. Actually, it's the 1-year anniversary of something that doesn't happen anymore. Up until a year ago, it happened on pretty much a Monday through Friday daily basis. And a year ago, it stopped, and it's never been started again. So 1 year ago, what stopped happening?
At this time, today?
Today. Today is the 1-year anniversary. The 1-year anniversary of something not happening. There used to be something that happened every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekends, depending upon what was happening.
For a long period of time?
Oh, decades and decades and decades and decades.
But it's only lasts for a week?
No, it's been gone for a year. And there was an event, a daily event, that happened almost every single day for decades. Monday through Friday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I can't think about, you might as well tell me because it's going to take me a while to process that one.
And a year ago, it stopped, and it hasn't happened since.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, Brad.
The daily White House press briefings.
I would have never guessed that.
Yes, every single day, Monday through Friday. You know, it happened with all the presidents as far back as you can think about. You know, with Bush and even going back to Clinton and all these. You know, remember with Dee Dee, what was her name? Dee Dee Myers, who was the press secretary for Clinton.
I remember. Yes.
Okay. And every single day, and then it was Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Mike Huckabee's daughter, who was the press secretary for, and then there was Sean Spicer, they called Spicy. And a year ago, President Trump ended the daily press briefings. And
why did he do that? Because the press was so...
Well, I think
rude.
Well, that was that Jim Acosta guy that he threw out, and then he sued and got back in. And I think he just got tired of the fact that it's like, okay, you're going to beat up my, because every day it was like the press would beat up his press secretaries, and and he just decided, heck with it. And to the point where that's what the replacement has been, when he walks out to the helicopter, because now there's all these times when he walks out to the helicopter to go somewhere out of the White House that people, the press stops him and asks him questions, and he talks like forever. He goes on and on and on for like an hour, while the helicopter's sitting out there idling. But I thought it was interesting, and once again, there's a whole bunch of stories today about this, that it's terrible, they don't have the daily press briefings and nobody knows what's going on in the government. Maybe that's the best way, right? But
people know what's going on in the government.
it's just, but they're the part of the reason they're bringing this up is that since Mike Pence has been put in charge of the coronavirus thing, they're having briefings in the press room in the White House, but they're not like the briefings they had in the past. They're not the White House press conferences, the daily briefings used to be a reporter could ask anything about anything. In other words, you could, if you were in the press pool, you could say, what does Donald Trump think about wool socks? Whatever. There were some weird questions that came up from time to time, and the press said, well, he loves wool socks because he loves sheep or lambs, wherever wool comes from. I don't know. Anyway, they don't.
Did you just have a Shelley moment?
Well,
did you record that?
No. What is it? Is wool come from sheep or from lambs, or is it both?
Actually, it's both, but
both. Sheep have wool and lambs have wool. What's the difference between a sheep and a lamb?
About $50.
Boom. No. So did you miss the press briefings?
No, because I never watched them in the first place.
Well, that's the interesting part of it, that most people, it's sort of like nerd stuff. You know what I mean? If you're like a political nerd, oh, did you hear what happened at the press briefing today? And if you said that in a group of like 50 people, most people go like, the press briefing? What are you talking about? You watch that? Who watches the press briefings? The White House press. Who watches that? It's one of those things. It's just like.
Do you watch it? You're out busy. You're busy selling. No.
I used to watch the sometimes the video recaps of them. I mean, because the ones with Trump just got downright contentious because all the reporters, especially Jim Acosta, and the thing was they wouldn't shut up. I mean, there was a protocol.
They were rude.
Well, yeah, there was.
If you don't like the man.
Well, but
that's fine, but you best respect the position.
Right. There was a protocol that you got one question. And they called on the various people, and you got one question, and then and the whoever it was, the press secretary would answer it, and then they would ask another question. And some of these, hold on a minute now, and it got to the point where and especially the deal with Jim Acosta, and I think that's what Trump essentially said. Okay, look, it's not about the press, it's about the press conference, and it got to the point where he had these guys who were like, there was the one lady, April, whatever her name was, and she got mad. And she'd go on TV, well, they were rude to me. And, and you'd see how she was and go like, yeah, well, maybe if you weren't rude to them, they wouldn't be rude to you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, it was to the point where it's like, and once again, this is Brad, the guy with the journalism degree. I graduated with people who, went off to be, hardcore journalists who felt that like they were a step above most people because they were a journalist. What they did was life and death. And keep in mind, I went to school, back not too long after, the Watergate era when, you had Woodward and Bernstein who were like gods. Oh, the press. And once again, I'm not saying bad things. I'm saying the press is good. But the problem nowadays is the press is disappearing. I had this discussion with someone last night. Perfect example, okay? If you want to find out news about St. Charles County, where do you go? There's no
go to westplex.news.
Well, that's something we're working on. But
it is we're working on. For example, and actually, I just wanted to say this, and I'm going to, then you can go back. But did you know that if you're having problems driving in St. Charles County because of a light or a pothole, they're actually letting the experts at 1 o'clock today, you can chat with the road crew at 1 p.m. today on Wednesday.
Well, you're pulling that off, and I didn't really intend that. But the point I was trying to make was that there is no there used to be the suburban journals for St. Peter's and all.
Yes, there did.
Gone. Okay, and there used to be local reporters who used to have a local beat who went and talked to the people at the city halls in St. Peter's, no Fallon. Gone. Nobody does that anymore. And to the point where things that happen in St. Charles County, is there a St. Charles County news channel? No. Is there any place where you can go and find all this news? Well, except where we're working on, but I didn't mean it as a plug for what we're working on. But the idea being is that no. And to the point where if you have questions, to the point where, you can call some of the people in the various offices in St. Charles County, and sometimes they'll talk to you, sometimes they won't. That's true of every office. Geez, I tell you stories all the time. I go into places, government agencies. I remember the story I told you about the one city, who shall remain nameless, that I tried to get a list of all the people that got business licenses. In other words,
I remember that.
And I got to the point where they told me I could not have that list. And I ended up talking to the city manager, and the city manager says, "We're not going to give you that list." I go, "What is public? It's public,
It's a FOIA thing."
Right. Well, not FOIA, but Sunshine Law in the state of Missouri. And he says, "You're right." He says, "It's Sunshine Law, and we're saying we're not going to give it to you. If you want it, sue us." That's what he said to me. Sue us. Okay.
Well, we did finally get the ones, but after they were applied for and the construction was done. But that doesn't really.
Yeah, and once again,
it's not an advantageous for us.
And he said to me, he says, "Why do you want it?" I said, "Well, we'd like to talk to these people about selling them advertising." "So you want to bother them and sell them stuff? Is that what you want?" I go, "Yeah, that's what I want. I just want to call them to bother them. No, I want to help to promote their business." The bizarre thing is I'm going here's the guy who's like the city manager, and I'm going I'm here to help promote the businesses in your community so they'll do more business. And he gets mad at me about that. "Sue me." "Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Sunshine Law, sue me." "Okay, whatever."
Well, he clearly was not treating you right for a public servant.
Yeah, well, he's like most people. Most people don't treat me right. I get no respect. Just the other day, my wife.
You and Rodney Dangerfield, were you like kindred spirits?
I'm glad you picked up on that. God, if you go back to YouTube and you've watched some of the old Rodney Dangerfield videos,
he was so inappropriate yet so funny.
He was. He is so. And you know what the interesting story is? I watched about a month ago. I watched this documentary on him. It was fascinating. It was because for a while, he tried comedy and he didn't go anywhere. And what he says was the turning point in his life?
What's that?
He got the new name. It was like a joke. He said to somebody, he says, "What's my problem?" He was some club he was at. And the guy says, "Well, you're funny, but your name," his real name's like Joseph Cohen or something like that. And
Snooze.
And the owner of the club says, he says, "Your name, it does nothing." He says, "You need a name like Rodney Dangerfield." And he just threw that name out. And he goes, "Okay, I'll be Rodney Dangerfield." And then he became Rodney Dangerfield and everything changed.
Yeah, it did. I remember that. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's 8:01. It's time for us to go. How time flies when you're having fun.
Have we talked enough about coronavirus today, Shelley?
We have for yesterday, today, the day before yesterday.
I'm so tired of it.
Blah, blah, blah. Can we not talk about it tomorrow?
Well, but that's all that anybody's talking about. You look at the news.
Who cares? We can find something else to talk about.
Really? What?
Yes.
What do you think?
Sorry?
Here's one. Let me read you some headlines we talk about. Angelina Jolie talks about daughter's surgeries.
We could talk about that. I love Angelina Jolie. Do you know that she actually recovered from it's a condition that half of your face droops? What is it called?
KFAV disease?
Brad, take that back. No, I don't know what it's called. I do know what it's called, but I can't remember it right now. But yeah, she suffered from that, but they caught it in time, and now her face is back to the way it was.
Okay, here's something we can talk about tomorrow. The Bachelor finale ends with major mom disapproval. There's a headline. Game of Thrones actor dies. Meghan Markle just made some bold fashion choices. Is it a sign of what's to come? Matt Lucas takes over from Sandy Toksberg as the Great British Bake Off host. Led Zeppelin wins major copyright battle for Stairway to Heaven. How about that?
I hope that they did. That is their song. And, it's like Led Zeppelin is Stairway to Heaven.
How an open water swimmer braved freezing water to uncover Antarctica's dark secret. Police officers...
Hopefully he had... that stuff that neoprene.
Yeah, it was a woman. Police officers' rendition of gospel hits goes viral. Oh, here's one. Here's new chlamydia species discovered deep under the Arctic Ocean.
Okay, thank you for that one.
Recalled mushrooms.
That was necessary.
Recalled mushrooms linked to 4 deaths and 30 hospitalizations. How come we don't have that? How come we've got to we've got to
an outbreak on the mushrooms.
Right, we've got to quarantine ourselves against mushrooms.
It's like, what kind of mushrooms were they?
Kelly Clarkson gives fellow pop star a pep talk on her show. Trump endorses.
Does Kelly Clarkson have a show?
On a pep talk on her show. That's what it says here. Kelly Clarkson has a show. Apparently she has.
Wow, she's vertically integrated.
Trump shakes hands with lawmaker now under quarantine. This car dealership provides a safe place for homeless to park and sleep overnight.
Aw, was that here in St. Louis?
I don't know. Verizon launches Yahoo Mobile, a $40 per month phone service.
I'm sorry, what?
It says right here. It says Verizon launches Yahoo Mobile, a $40 per month phone service.
Yahoo Mobile.
Yes, the Queen is making.
I wonder if you have to deal with commercials and stuff like advertisements.
Here's a good one. Why Uruguay could be the world's next great wine destination.
I bet that's a good one.
Rare white giraffes killed by poachers at Kenyan Wildlife Sanctuary.
Shame on them. First of all, it's a sanctuary. Second of all, these are endangered species, these white giraffes.
Here's one. Lesbos welcomed refugees. Now vigilantes threaten welcomers. That
was too convoluted. I don't even understand what you said. But you know what? I know you could go on and on to try to prove me wrong, but it's 8:07.
Eggshell beads made by hunter-gatherers 33,000 years ago used as a social network. It was before Mark Zuckerberg was around. How can that be? How can there be a social network 33,000 years ago? So that's some of the stuff we should have been talking about today, right? The white giraffes being shot by poachers in Kenya? No,
that's not something that we need to bring to the forefront, but shame on them still. That's just my opinion.
Meghan Markle, I don't do a thing. I don't go anywhere without consulting Meghan Markle's fashion guide before I leave the office in the morning.
Does that cute little girl have a fashion guide?
Oh my God! I see what color she's wearing, and that's what the colors I wear for that day.
How did you know I did that as well? Seriously, I mean, I have got a lot of clothes, and the struggle is real. I can't find anything to wear.
We're on OT right now, so we got to get out of here.
Well, I just said that, Brad, and you kept on chattering. You're like a chatty bratty.
No. I didn't keep chattering.
You did. But it's 8:08. Everybody have a wonderful day. Guess what day it is, Brad?
Driving me nuts.
Guess what day it is?
Call your doctor right away or get emergency help if you feel faint, confused, very sleepy or very hot, are agitated, acting clumsy, breathing more slowly than normal, or have stiff muscles. This is not a full list of risks and side effects.
That's the disclaimer for our show. I know what day it is.
Actually, I have every one of those.
I know what day it is today. Shelley, tell us what day it is today.
It's hump day.
No, it's the day.
That doesn't even sound like me. That sounds like you.
That's That's Shelley doing the pachook thing.
And I think that's you. What does the fox say? Okay, I'm kind of cute there, so you can keep that one. Because I was making little hand sounds. Like little hand puppets.
What a lot of people don't realize is before Shelley and I go on the air every morning, I wake up every morning and I call her on the phone and I say to her,
I had prostate problems that were driving me nuts.
You do say some odd things to me, Brad. But it's 8:09 now. We really have to go.
No, let's just stay in the air all day. Let's do a marathon. Let's do like
I could do that.
Like what Cosmo Nick did. Let's do a radiothon, and we're going to raise money for hand sanitizer.
You laugh, but there's actually a shortage of hand sanitizer. And so the people that had gotten it were at the O'Fallon Chamber Business Expo last night.
Yeah.
and I scored like 3 of them.
Can I tell you something?
What?
And then what people don't realize, and this is the truth. I'm not kidding when I say about this. You know what works just as good as hand sanitizer?
Bleach.
Olive oil. So if you go to the grocery store today, and the more like it...
That's not true.
Oh, no, honest to good, true. I wouldn't kid you. If you go to the store today...
Olive oil sanitizes your hands.
Oh, my God, yes. And then what's interesting is what you're not supposed to do is you're supposed to keep it on your hands, and then you're supposed to shake hands with people. So, and then what'll happen...
Okay, blah, blah, blah. You just lost me. It's 8:10 now. Caleb, it is time for you to step up to the microphone and say...